So, Duke versus St. John's. Wow. What an absolute game this has been. Duke versus St. John's. We're down to the last 40 seconds left in this basketball game, and this game has been absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. Duke has the ball. They inbounded, almost stolen. So they are gonna try to get a steal, but time is going on. Time is going. They're letting them dribble it out. Okay, so they're gonna. What happened there? There was a foul call. Oh boy, I think it was a terrible call for St. John's where they let, a pull on Cam Boozer, a foul on Mitchell from St. John's, and Boozer's going to the line. That absolutely terrible foul right there. You letting the clock go down. You have a chance to get a stop, and then you foul them at that moment. Oh my goodness, that was an absolute bad foul right there. Boozer's at the line right now. 77, 40, 74. 32 seconds. It's a 1-and-1. First one is up. He misses. St. John's got the rebound. 30 seconds left in this ball game. 29, 28, 27. Bringing it up court. Past the half court line. Little pick and roll action. Okay, slow. Boozer's guarding. Okay, now they pass it out to St. John's got to get something going. And can we get a foul? No foul called. Or is there a foul called? Yes, a foul was called. 14 seconds to go. Edford is at the line right now for St. John's. There was a lot of contact right there. Like, the only thing I can say is St. John's took a lot of time to get into the action of that play. But nonetheless, St. John's has an opportunity right now. They got Zuby, Ejiofor, 71% free throw shooter. He's 2 for 2 in the night. His first free throw, it is up. It is good. 75 to 77. It was 2 free throws there, regardless of anything. Duke is in the bonus plus. St. John's is in the bonus, and the possession arrow is with St. John's. 9 fouls for St. John's, 7 for Duke. I'm just turning on this game a few moments ago in terms of live streaming, and the second free throw is no good, and Duke gets the rebound. They have to foul, and they get the foul with 10 seconds left. So a huge free throw miss from Ejiofor right there. That would have made it a 1-point game, but instead it's a 2-point game. This is the first basketball game I've ever done as a live stream, and I wanted to do this game from the start. Time with me just didn't allow me to do it. I couldn't be here for the beginning of the game. However, I'm here now, and this is the first one I've ever done of an NCAA basketball game. And I'm from New York. So St. John's, I mean, this is the first time they're in the Sweet 16 since 1999. So this is already history for them just to be in the Sweet 16. Now, they had a lead in this game at a point. Let me get my camera fixed up. It's a commercial break. Okay, we're back now. Possession hours with St. John's. Duke has 2 free throws now, though. But if there were to be a tie-up, yeah, my camera is really losing focus. There we go. So St. John's at a point had a lead in this ball game. They had a good lead. They were up around double digits, and Duke fought and came back. Hey, it's 11.2 seconds left. Duke has 2 free throws now. And look, Duke is looking to close this out and advance to the Elite 8. The winner out of this game is going to the Elite 8. Shout out to St. John's because now look at the disparity. Free throws for Duke, 12 out of 20. St. John's is only 4 out of 8. That's a 12 free throw difference right there. So that means that, I mean, Duke is more of an aggressive team from what I'm understanding. But, let's see the free throws here. 86% free throw shooter. He's 0 for, he hasn't shot any for the night. His first one is up. His first one's no good. So the door is open for St. John's. The door is open for St. John's. 77 to 75. Duke versus St. John's. What an amazing game it's been. A historic game. Second free throws up, and it is good. It is now a 78-75 game. Look, if you're St. John's, you got to go for the three now. No way. Okay, it's Crow. 5 seconds left. He puts up the shot. No good. Oh, it's out. And Duke has the ball. It's a terrible possession by St. John's right there. 1.8 seconds left. I mean, a terrible possession right there. Terrible possession. Can Duke get it in cleanly? No, they don't. They're going to call a timeout. Oh my gosh, an absolute disaster of a possession there. I mean, first off, he was pressured. He just took a bad, it was a bad shot. It was pretty much an air ball. And, my gosh, that was a really, really bad shot in my opinion. In the sense of, it was just coming down. You can see the St. John's fans with their heads down, frustrated, disappointed. And I can imagine how tough this is for all of them right there. Look, Duke is in position right now. Duke is 1.8 seconds left. What I could say, St. John's, they did not manage the clock good to finish off this basketball game. Fouls should have been earlier. When you're in a position like this in basketball, your job is to extend the game, especially when you're down. If you're down, you got to extend the game. They didn't do a good job of extending the game, St. John's. They didn't do a good job. They adjusted time. Instead of 1.8, it's 2.1. Look, St. John's needs a steal and a three. They need a miracle right now. Literally, St. John's needs a steal, an inbound 2.1. So they need to force a turnover, get the ball, and hit a three. This is it. 2.1 seconds left. Duke has the ball. If they get it in, you got to get you have to get a foul really, really fast. They get it in. Boozer got it. 1.5 seconds left, and Duke is on their way. You can see Carlos Boozer in the stands, looking hype, excited. Look at Rick Pitino, just animated. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. And Boozer, his jersey's ripped. It's like the Superman rip on his jersey. That's how physical the game has been. But my goodness, wow. So if he makes one of these free throws, it's over. Look, St. John's neither team has a timeout. Make one, it's over. It's guaranteed over. First one's up, he makes it, and Duke is going to be advancing to the Elite Eight. Duke is going to be advancing to the Elite Eight. What a heartbreak for St. John's. We're going to go over some of the box score after this. 1.5. The next free throw is money. 80-75. St. John's has it. They throw a heave ups, not gonna matter. And Duke is advancing to the Elite Eight. What a heartbreak for St. John's University. You can see the frustration, the pain in the fans of St. John's, and you see broken hearts all over the place. I mean, I'm disappointed as well. I was really rooting for St. John's in this game, and unfortunately, they were not able to pull it off. So Duke, they take it 80-75, and it's a comeback victory as well. A comeback victory by the University of Duke. Now, I'm going to go over a quick box score. That's a tough way to lose. Tough loss, a tough way to lose a game, but it's basketball and it is sports. Sports, if there's one thing we can say, sports is just an absolute. Sports is a nightmare. For example, I played a game yesterday in baseball, and we lost. We almost came back, but we lost. I played good defense. I believe I played solid defense, but offensively, I wasn't as productive as I knew I could be. So let's go into this game to finish it out. Again, a heartbreaking loss for the University of St. John's. St. John's University. So let's go to the box score right now. For St. John's, we got Dylan Mitchell, 33 minutes, 13 points. He had a really, really good game. Or better, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the team stats, and we're going to go from there and, break it down. So, shooting wise, St. John's had 8 more shots than Duke. 8 more shots, 29 out of 64. Now, field goal percentage, 45% for St. John's, 54 for Duke. 3-point. This is the difference with 3-point. And I learned this. St. John's is not a great shooting team, but they shot 41% from the 3-point line. So you kind of can't be mad by that. They're not a great 3-point shooting team, but they shot 41%. Now, a huge difference where Duke only shot, St. John's was 13 out of 32. Duke was 5 out of 14, 36%. They didn't depend on the 3. Whereas now the free throw disparity, this was the game here. 50% St. John's, only 8 attempts, 4 out of 8. And more disparities. 36% for 36% free throws. No, excuse me. 15 for 24 for Duke. That is 63%. But we're talking about Duke tripled St. John's in free throws, taking 16 more. Now, rebounds is another big difference. In offensive rebounds, they were close. Duke had 12, St. John's had 10. Now, this is the disparity. Defensive rebounds. This means that St. John's didn't close out their possessions. They gave Duke second chances. St. John's had 17 defensive rebounds, where Duke 28 defensive rebounds. So 40 total rebounds for Duke, 27 for St. John's. And that's big, because that means many possessions for Duke were 1, 2, 3 opportunities, whereas for St. John's, it was a lot of one and dones. Now, assist, St. John's won that 19-13. Steals, St. John won 7-4. Blocks, Duke won 5-3. Total turnovers, Duke had more turnovers. And Duke had 9 turnovers, St. John's has 6. So that's pretty solid for both teams. Not a lot of turnovers. 9 points off turnovers for St. John, only 4 for Duke. Both teams had 13 points. Fast break. But Duke had 40 in the paint, 28 only for St. John's. Now, fouls. St. John's had 20 fouls, whereas Duke had 13. Now, and again, 1 flagrant foul, which was pretty big. It was a flagrant foul called in this game, and that's a big one. A big flagrant foul called. And, largest lead for St. John's. Hey, St. John's had a 10-point lead in this game. And what a comeback for Duke. Duke's largest lead was 7, which was close to the ending. Especially largest percentage led. Duke, they split the game. It was a very evenly matched game in some regards, but then you see some stats where it really, really like jumps out at you, like wow, like it really jumps out to you there. So I'm going to go quickly for this last thing. I don't do college basketball. I watch it occasionally, but I can't sit here and say I'm totally familiar with it. But I want to at least do my best with this right now and go to a quick moment of the game that I think was a huge part of the game. One of it was the flagrant foul. For example, okay, let's see here. St. John's, they led this game 55-45 with 15 minutes left in the game. Of course, if you're a basketball player, that's a ton of time. And hey, shout out to everybody. My name is Sammy, High Expectation Sports. I'm somebody that knows more about NBA basketball, MLB, of course, NFL, college basketball. I love it. I love Syracuse, St. John's, UConn. But I cannot sit here and say I know a ton. If I follow college basketball a lot, it's mainly because I want to see what teams, what picks, drafted, what draft picks are going to be coming. Because I'm a Nets fan. My Nets are absolutely horrible. We are hot garbage. And, maybe we're going to get Boozer. Maybe we're going to get somebody like him. We need somebody like Cameron Boozer. We need a big player. So I watch college basketball in this regard. But this game was a special one because, look, St. John's is a program that's been on the come up. This is the first time they make the Sweet 16 since 1999, 27 years. Let alone imagine the Elite Eight, and they had this game. They were up 55-45. Now they depended on the three-point shot a lot, and before you know it, I know that they were up by 10, but the game was much closer than that. It was a much closer game. My biggest downfall for St. John's is that they shot too many threes in this ball game. Way too many threes. Now, Zuby Ejiofor was absolutely clutch hitting where it's at here. Was it Ejiofor? Zuby Ejiofor hit a three that brought it back down to a 3-point game. Then, it's going 75. Then he missed a clutch free throw that they needed. And again, this is a team, St. John's, that they don't hit a lot of threes. But the way that the game ended, I want to talk about this last possession for St. John's. That's mainly what I want to talk about right now. Okay, 6-7 seconds left. I was hoping I got a comment from RBMQ. Hey, I appreciate the comment. Me too. I was really hoping St. John's was going to take it. Really hoping that they were going to take it. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that they didn't take it. I'm frustrated that they didn't take it. The hardest losses are the losses that you have it in your hands. You have it. And, it ends up falling. You drop it, or you just you couldn't hold on to the lead, Those are the hardest losses for any team. So, RB, I appreciate the comment. Appreciate anybody that's watching. It's a tough game, a tough loss. But this last possession, okay. Dylan Darling, which, look, he hit the game winner in their most recent game versus, I believe, Kansas. I just don't like how he came down court. Like, what? I want to look at his stats. I'm going to look at his stats in a moment. Let me tell you the play, and then I'll go to his stats. Dylan Darling, again, he hit the game winner in that most recent game. So you got to give a shout out to him in that regard. But okay, there was about 7 seconds left. It's a 3-point game. Dylan Darling, he's coming down the court. Not getting down the court that fast, kind of slow, herky-jerky, does a little crossover. It was contested. He's the smallest player on the team, smallest player on the court. And he takes about a 27, maybe 30, not a 30-footer, but let's say 27-footer. He takes a 27-footer three, not in rhythm. It wasn't even close. And I'm just like, ugh. I didn't like that shot, I know that teams, they practice that in sports where you want to get a good shot. And, that was a bad shot. And, okay, let's look at the lineup for Duke. They didn't have no impressive stat lines in terms of scoring. Their highest scorer was Zuby Ejiofor, 17 points. Now, can I be honest with you? For me, he should have gotten that shot. I like the point guard when he can get down the court quickly, especially Darling's fast. And I get it, the pressure is so tough. Like the pressure you deal with where, like, when the game speeds up for you, it's an absolute horrible thing. But when the game speeds up, but you can like kind of do it in slow motion, but be fast at the same time. I don't know if you get what I mean. If you could do that, it's a really, really good thing, because you don't panic. You don't, like you don't do things, all over the place. You're cool, you're calm, you're functioning. I like, for example, for a point guard to come, set the offense up, get somebody, make a play for him, and at least live with a rhythm shot. But he comes down. Dylan Darren only had 8 points, 3 of 7 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. I didn't like him taking that last shot. Look, Ruben Prey off the bench. I don't know if he was on the floor at the time. 4 for 4 from 3. In my opinion, Dylan Darren wasn't the best option to take that shot. And it's something that now they are gonna have to live with for a long time. Shout out to RB on YouTube. You subscribed. I appreciate you. And I'm really disappointed for St. John's. I was hoping to see St. John's and UConn in the Elite Eight. And hey, first half, it was 40-39. St. John's was up by 1. But the second half, Duke outscores St. John's. 41 for Duke, 35 for St. John's. And that last possession, you don't want... I just didn't like that possession. It wasn't a good shot. And look, if there was 2 seconds, okay. There was 7 seconds in basketball. Now, one thing about college basketball that's so tough. You call timeouts and you don't get it advanced. In the NBA, you can call a timeout in the backcourt and it advances. Whereas you call a timeout in college and you're not gonna get it. So comment from RB. At the end of the day, RB, look, I do think so, RB. Because look, they made it to the Elite Eight for the first time since 1999. Do you think it was a lack of experience? I think so. Now, they could have won. They could have won the game. They could have. Like, you look at St. John's. St. John's is a historic college. It's a historic university. But Duke is as well. Let me get my camera to focus, because this camera gets me so angry that it loses focus. I look like Blur, man. I don't even know if that's a thing there. Let me try to get it focused. All right, there we go. It's just like, you know that something better could have been done. They could have got a better shot. And like, I get it. And I gotta go with that. I'm gonna go with the lack of experience, but they could have won it. And look, Rick Pitino is an absolute amazing basketball coach. Amazing. Look, St. John's doesn't have any, to my knowledge, they don't have any projected lottery picks. I know that the Duke Blue Devils do in Cameron Boozer, and I'm not going to sit here and say that only matters, but, St. John's is on the come up. They're rising. I meant big stage pressure. They gave it a good... Now, RB, like, I don't want to say that the pressure got to them. In no way, no how. I don't even want to say that the better team won. It's just, man, RB, sometimes it's just basketball. Sometimes it's just basketball. Sometimes it could be, the ball just doesn't go your way. It just doesn't bounce, I was looking at the stats and, it's a big disparity in free throws. I mean, were all of those fouls justified? For example, that flagrant foul, I don't know if that was a good call. Like, we're talking about, it's intense basketball. Some of these kids, this is their last basketball game. This is their future, some of them. So they're putting it all out there. And for me, that flagrant foul came at the absolute wrong moment. I mean, that was like, damn, like now that flagrant foul right now. So, look, I got to give it up for St. John's, though. Hey, I'm going to give a clap up for them. I got to give a clap up for St. John. I'm going to give the same for Duke. I got to give a clap up. Give a round of applause. Both of these teams were amazing. Both of the teams were amazing. Look, St. John's, they had way more shots. They had 8 more shots. That's a big difference, but they shot a lot of 3. And look, if there's one thing I could say as a team, RB, I'm not sure if you're still with me or anybody that's with us. St. John's took 64 shots. Out of those 64 shots, 50% of them were from the 3-point line. So they took 32 3-pointers and 32 field goal layups or mid-range shots, in other words. So I'm going to break. Okay, 13 out of 32 in 3-pointers, 41%. And doing the math, 16 out of 32 with 2-pointers. That could be the difference, because the thing is, when you're jacking up a lot of threes, even though, Duke didn't have a bunch of fast break points, but when you're jacking up a lot of threes, you're not going to get a lot of offensive rebounds. You're not, because the balls is a good chance you're going to bounce and then, clear it. And Duke was the bigger team. Duke was the bigger team in this, in this game. But, man, regardless, look, it was an amazing basketball game, and it's just tough for St. John's fans. I was looking at the face of the fans, and I was seeing Rick Pitino, like, it's just really, really tough that they weren't able to, to pull this off. But hey, shout out to St. John's, shout out to Duke. I'm Sammy. I'm currently in Toronto, Canada, but I'm from New York, from the Bronx, New York. We know that St. John's is there. Hey, RB, I appreciate you being here. Like, this is my first ever college basketball game doing. Recently, I started doing live streaming. I started in January with the NFL. I did 2 playoff games, plus the Super Bowl, so the third one. I did the whole World Baseball Classic. I did the Mets opening day yesterday. Now, this is my first ever basketball. I'm getting ready for the NBA playoffs. I'm rooting for the Knicks. I'm a Nets fan, but they're done. I hope they could get a good pick. I appreciate you, enjoying the insights. I hope the Nets could get a good pick. But, I'm getting ready for the Knicks, the NBA playoffs, and more of these NCAA games. Hopefully, I want to cover at least one more NCAA game. At least one more. I'm not going to be able to do the UConn game right now. But I want to, hopefully UConn can advance, whether I'm going to do the national championship game or not. But I want to do at least one more NCAA where I can review the rosters, really get to know, and, see from there. But, look, St. John's took a lot of threes in this game. If I could just say these 2 things. The last possession by Dylan Daring, maybe the pressure got to him there, because I wish I could show you I'm sure you saw the game. I wish I could just show the video. I didn't like how he dribbled the ball up court. He dribbled it up court in a very protective way, which you got to do it, but he never got momentum to get a good shot off. And I would have loved for him to speed up court and try to find somebody, whereas he just dribbled up, no rhythm, contested shot, and it's like, it sucks. It sucks that was the final shot for St. John's for the 2025-2026 season. March Madness ends like that. But there's no reason for their heads to be down. That's why I want to be fair. And, if you're just breaking down the stats coming into the game, St. John's, I want to see let me check what was their 3-point percentage. What was St. John's three-point percentage for the season? NCAA men. Let me see. Let's see if they could show me their. Okay, St. John's 3-point percentage for the 2025-2026 regular season was approximately 33.2%, which is not terrible. Better. Let me say, it's not good. Let me just leave it at that. It's not good. They were ranked 225th in the nation. And that's pretty average in that regard, but they were shooting 33%. Now, in this game, they shot 41%. They shot 41%. So that's 8% up. But in basketball, if you fall in love with the three-pointer, it can be kind of deflating because a layup, wow, you got to penetrate, get in the lane, the paint. A layup is always going to be easier than a three-point shot, no matter how great of a three-point shooter you are. Unless you're probably Steph Curry or now John Knipple, that's in the Hornets now. So, you know, those are the two things that I would say. I didn't like the last shot by Dylan Daring. I believe if you ask him, he would even be frustrated, like, you know, not happy. And for me, St. John's to have 64 shots, to attempt 32 two-pointers, layups, and to attempt 32 three-pointers, for me, I think you need more balance there. Whereas if you got 64 shots, okay, 24 threes, all right, but 40 attempts, easier attempts, I think that could have made a difference for them. But look, nonetheless, St. John's got to keep their heads up. St. John's got to keep their heads up. I'm going to give you a quick update on the scores really fast about what's going on right now in the NCAA. And then we're going to be getting off this live stream. But as you see, St. John's, Duke 180-75, an amazing game. Right now, Alabama's playing Michigan. And Michigan's up with 3 minutes and 37 seconds left. 84-72. They are up. And as well, UConn is going to be playing Michigan State University at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And Tennessee versus, is that what, Iowa State? Let me verify to see if that's Iowa State also at 9:45. Yes, Iowa State Cyclones. So, an absolute tough loss for St. John's. Basketball is not easy, folks. Sports are not easy, but this is how it is. This is how it is. Look, nonetheless, this is the lessons we have for life. What are the lessons? You are going to go through hard moments in your life. You're going to go through moments where you had it, but it's not going to work out. You're going to go through moments in your life where you had it. It just didn't work out. You lost. It didn't work out. And while the pain, the frustration you're going to feel, because you're human, we're human, you're going to feel the pain. But it doesn't take away, you gotta keep your head up. And that's just, I'm a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. And that's the bottom line, because Sammy said so. You gotta keep your head up. That's just what it comes down to. St. John's, look, they feeling the pain. It's tough. It's absolutely tough. Absolutely devastating. But, hey, you got to be able to move forward. You got to be able to fight. You got to be able to keep going. And the more you go, the more you push, it's the more you're going to be able to get back. Now, I did a video recently where good things take time. For St. John's to win a championship, they got to wait a whole year. Don't get me wrong, the grind starts now. They're going to have off season. Some of these players, that's it. But St. John's on to next year, you know. So, but good things take time in life. Good things do not come. So, look, I appreciate you. We've been live here. I really wish I was able to do the whole game. I wasn't. But nonetheless, I appreciate RB. Appreciate anybody that's tuned in to this live stream. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to all of my New Yorkers. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised in the Bronx, New York, currently in Canada. However, I'm here and ready to keep moving forward and bring to you sports talk. Keep your head up. St. John's lost. Hey, if the thing about social media, you never know. I'll watch your next stream. Take care. I appreciate you, RB. I'ma definitely be looking forward to seeing you around. What sport? I don't know if you're still there, but what sports do you like? Let me know. Do you have any suggestions of any games you would like me to do in this regard? Give me some suggestions if you're still there. Let me know if there's any games you think I should do. Any other sports? I mainly do basketball, football, baseball, but I'm open to suggestions. And stay tuned. We're gonna be doing giveaways on this channel very soon, having sponsors. I'm excited for the things that are to come. But yeah, you gotta keep your head up. You gotta keep your head up at the end of the day, because it's not easy. To lose is not easy. I played a baseball game last night. We lost, and I was just frustrated at myself, angry at myself. So shout out to my New Yorkers. I'm from the Bronx, New York. I'm in Toronto, Canada now. But hey, I'm representing over here. Can't forget where I'm from. Family's from Puerto Rico. And it's a tough loss. I'm a little disappointed with this game with St. John's, but nonetheless, we gotta keep our heads up. I like NCAA and hockey MLB playoffs. So that's something definitely. So I'm going to definitely be doing other NCAA games. I'm going to make sure to do that. I got to appreciate you coming through, because, you're coming through. It says that we got about 5 people watching. It's been fluctuating a little bit. So I appreciate you being somebody that interacts. Hockey, I'm going to be honest with you. I like the Rangers. I like the New Jersey Devils. I could root for the Maple Leafs. I'm in Toronto. The Islanders. I root for the New York teams. I just don't know a ton of hockey. I've always told myself I'm open to doing a hockey game, but I would definitely need some help for that. Somebody that could give me the 411s and teach me some things. Or I will have to just do the research. But it's definitely interesting to start doing hockey games. Now, MLB playoffs, you can be sure of that. I did the whole World Baseball Classic. If you want to see any of those, you can see some of my reactions to those games. They're on the channel. I'm going to be doing a bunch of the MLB season. Now, I know the MLB season is tough, because 162 games, that's not easy right there. But 162 games, it's not easy. But I'm going to be doing a ton of MLB games, playoffs. I'm excited. Let's go. And hey, look, shout out to everybody that's on YouTube. I appreciate all of you. If you're with me right now, you can like, share, subscribe, share with me your suggestions. Share with me your thoughts, how you think we can make the channel better. If you missed it, unfortunately, St. John's lost to Duke 80-75. It was an amazing game, but unfortunately, St. John's came out on the losing side of it. Appreciate all of you for being here with me. I will see all of you really soon. We're going to be back on Higher Expectation Sports. Remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter how hard it is, keep your head up physically, but also inside of you. Because some people can show their head up like they're good, like everything's fine. But inside of them, they stop believing. So when I say keep your head up physically, of course. But when I say keep your head up on the inside, it means don't stop believing in yourself. Even if you fail all the time, you lose all the time. For example, I was going over some things where I've recognized, man, Sammy, I've lost a lot. And everybody loses a lot. But when you could lose a lot and not consider yourself a loser, that's a big thing in life. A really big thing. Again, I'm going to say that. When you can lose a lot in life, but you don't consider yourself a loser, you still believe in yourself. You keep your head up on the physical and also inside of you, because you believe, okay, I've been losing for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but it doesn't change the fact I'm going to win tomorrow. That is an important thing right there. Look, shout out to all of you. Have a great one. I will see all of you very soon on my next live stream. High Expectation Sports, Sammy. Till next time.